Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be joining me from. Hi, I'm Jo Rawbone, and as you can see from my background, I'm in my lovely home office today. And my regular office is a walk away if I haven't got too much baggage to carry, a short car ride away if I do. So I don't have to worry about being on the trains, which is just as well, because here in the UK right now, we have a national, it's not necessarily train drivers, but it's the kind of railway workers union strike. So there is very little movement on the railways today. And it just so happens that it's also a strike. I think the London Underground have chosen to strike today as well. So today is not a good day to be in London. Just as well, I don't have to be in London. So I said in my little chat that I put today about lessons from a lurker turned feisty liberator. And that's exactly how I feel right now, because we've got the June solstice here, which in the Northern Hemisphere means it's the longest day of the year. I think I heard on the radio this morning that it's something like 19 hours of sunshine, sorry, of daylight, not necessarily sunshine, 19 hours of daylight today. And that got me really thinking. And I'll tell you what else prompted my thinking. I've just come back from a coffee with a very good friend of mine, Anamika. And Anamika has just finished writing her first book. I say her first book, not because she's told me it's her first, but I suspect there will be more books. And we were talking about some of the things in her history, in her working experience, that led up to Anamika writing this book. And she is a new product commercialization specialist, I think is probably the best way to put it. And we talked a lot about some of the toxic relationship. Here am I going? It's not toxic relationships. Toxic cultures she's worked in organizations. There may be toxic relationships as well, but that's not what we're here to talk about right now. We're talking about toxic cultures, toxic organizations. And if you've caught up with the last episode of my podcast, the one that came out last week, then you'll know it was about psychological safety, and specifically looking through the lens of psychological safety at extroversion bias, or even the other way around, looking at extroversion bias through the lens of psychological safety. Whichever way around it goes, that's fine. Because I think there is so much that we can draw on to really understand how to help introverts feel psychologically safe. And when they feel psychologically safe, there will kind of the toxic culture in an organization will have dramatically improved. Now, should we be doing this just for introverts? No, we shouldn't. Of course we shouldn't. We should be doing this for everyone, whether they be introvert, extrovert, ambivert, for the few that are. But, it's really, we should be doing this for all people in the workplace. But what it got me thinking about, talking about toxic cultures with Anamika and linking it to the longest daylight hours, the longest day here in the Northern Hemisphere, it got me thinking about, if you feel in control of your own destiny, how great must it feel to have a long day like today? Certainly it's light until long gone 9 o'clock here. And if I were further north, it's probably closer to 10 o'clock or even later than that. But, the day stretches, the daylight stretches from 3:30, 4 o'clock-ish in the morning, right through to gone 9 at night. So it really is glorious time if we are able to be productive, if we feel in control of our own destiny. And the thoughts that it triggered for me are, what does an introvert need to do in order to feel more in control of their own destiny? And I had a few thoughts. And no doubt you'll chip in with your own, I should imagine, as well. But the first thing for me comes down to really having clear boundaries in place, and then upholding, defending, maintaining those boundaries so that people aren't necessarily encroaching on the boundaries. But we need to communicate those boundaries, because people aren't mind readers. They won't necessarily know what the boundary is that they've potentially overstepped without us letting them know that there was a boundary there in the first place. The image that comes to mind as I'm talking about that, you know, in all of the kind of the spy thriller things, that you'll see those kind of laser lines that cross, that if you spray you can see where they are, there's a red line or something. I think sometimes our boundaries are a bit like that. You know, we know they're there, we've put them in place. Other people don't necessarily know. So we definitely need to ensure that we've communicated what those boundaries are, so that we can then uphold them, so that we can then make sure that we're defending them. And when it comes to maintaining boundaries, and you may have heard me talk about this in a podcast episode a couple of weeks ago, you know, sometimes boundaries time expire. Sometimes I grow bigger and don't necessarily need that boundary in place. So just because I had a boundary in place 2 or 3 years ago doesn't necessarily mean it's relevant right now. So that's the first thing I thought about in terms of feeling more in control of my own destiny. The second thing I thought about was the importance of doing what it is that I love to do. Now, I know that I'm in a fortunate position. I've chosen my business to be what it is. I've chosen to grow my business in an area that I love. I've chosen to complement that with the work of flourishing introverts. And, you know, I love absolutely all of that. And what I won't accept, I guess, is people saying, oh, you're lucky. Because it was choices I made. And we all have choices we can make. Sometimes we just can't see them, though. But I think if you genuinely want to feel in control of your own destiny, it's about stepping out from sorry, there's just a helicopter going over, if you can hear the noise. It's just about stepping outside that kind of victim or martyr piece, in terms of, well, I have to keep going, otherwise what would happen? Or I have no choice in this, I have no say in the matter, to genuinely recognizing, you know, we all have choice. And if you're doing nothing, that's your choice. If you're staying put for whatever reason, that's a choice. So I think it's so important to find something you love doing that gives you a sense of purpose, that gives you a sense of contribution, that in some way plays to the gifts and talents that you find yourself holding in this world. So that's my second thing. The first thing, boundaries. The second thing was to actually really find something that you love doing and do that. And I think there's a third thing, which is to really play to, and this is predictable, I guess, coming from me, isn't it? But to play to our introvert strengths, to make sure that what we're doing at any time is communicating clearly with people, so that we're not ending up doing things that we don't want to do. But when I am doing things, I'm bringing my full palette, if you like, because I think it is a bit of an artist palette, my full palette of strengths, my full palette of gifts and talents to whatever it is I'm doing. Because the only way that we will start to move the needle on shifting the extroversion bias is really being proud of our extroversion and helping people see that as extroverts, as introverts, we have a place at the leadership table. We have a place on any management board. We have a place in any coaching circle. We have a place in any team to be productive, to be effective, to demonstrate how we can be everything that we can be as an introvert. So a bit of a kind of roundabout ramble today, but it was through having that coffee with Annemieke and talking about her book and talking about, so one of the central tenets of her book, or two of them actually, is around trust and the importance of building trust, and also the importance of effective communication. And yet there are still far too few of us who communicate really effectively, who say what we need to say, who ask for what we need, who say when things aren't acceptable, coming back to the boundaries piece. So thank you for joining me. I can see someone stuck with me pretty much most of the way through, so thank you for that. And if you're watching this on replay, then hashtag replay. What do you think? I've given you 3 as a starter for 10 maybe of the essential components of really, doing what you love doing what you love doing in order to be in control of your own life, in order to be in control of your destiny, in order to be the success in life that you deserve to be, that maybe you want to be. Doesn't mean we have to make a big hoo-ha about it, but certainly we deserve to be really successful in life. So hashtag replay, let me know what you would add to that list. Let's see if we can build a really comprehensive list of things that we need to attend to, that we need to have considered in order to feel in control of our own destinies. I look forward to seeing those comments, and I look forward to joining you next week. Farewell, everyone.